everybody, thanks for coming to dance with me. I'm Laura, and today we're going to be talking about musicality, literal, structural, and in between. Man, I gotta think of some catchier titles. This is some terrible clickbait. Dancing is to look like what the music sounds like, musicality. And there are so many different ways of doing that. And it is so personal. And what you choose for yourself is right. I cannot tell you how you hear the music. Now, your choices might be more or less appealing to people, but they are your choices and you're the artist. So I'm gonna go over my preferences for social dancing and choreography and for partner dancing and solo dancing. But this is not the right way to do it. Also, these aren't even my preferences in every single situation. Sometimes, even though I wouldn't ordinarily be into it, but in this situation, it is the best thing to do. Take what you do, it's the way that you do it. Take what you do, it's the way that you do it. Huge thank you to the people on Patreon for helping to make this video free for people like you. If you want to join them, the link is in the description. First, let's talk about literal musicality, and by that I mean being as literal with the music as possible. Like if there's a trumpet playing, I'm trying to dance exactly the trumpet part. It's kind of like the vocalese of dancing. Vocalese is when someone writes lyrics to an already established solo or melody. Kind of like this, singing the notes, except that generally it's much more intricate than this. Yes, generally there are more notes, cause it's done to modern jazz. At least that's my understanding of vocalese, but I still could be wrong. Yes, I could be so. Laura is wrong. Vocalese dates all the way back to 1929. Now, being this literal with the music is more a feature of the modern age because we dance to recordings most of the time. Original Lindy Hoppers didn't do this. They danced to live music. They didn't know what that solo was going to sound like yet. Maybe even the musician didn't know what it was going to sound like yet. In the modern age, dancing to recorded music is the norm. So for better or for worse, we have the stability of that solo being exactly the same every time we hear it. So let's see this in action. For this video, I'm using the Prumo Orchestra's version of Jumpin with Symphony Sid. 1, because I'm allowed to, and 2, because it has that really classic da-ba-da-da-da-da-da-ba-da-da riff that we can play with, but it also has this super intricate bit at the very beginning, so the contrast is very big, and there are a bunch of different things that you can choose to hit. That intricate bit is played by John Doyle and Mark Gonzalez, but it was originally from the Stan Getz recording that John Love did. It's in the description. Anyhow, this is me dancing as literally as I possibly can. Get into it. John is on saxophone. We all know that John's a badass, but Mark is playing that intricate stuff on trombone. Mark, how are you doing that, man? So when I first started dancing, this is the style of musicality that I always did, which was sometimes problematic because I didn't solo dance at the time, and so I backled a whole lot to get stuff done. But it gave me the satisfaction of honoring the song in a way that was obvious enough for me to know that I had done it. I've since moved away from this for a few reasons. One, I don't follow like that anymore. I don't want to backlead like that anymore. And so it's more satisfying for me to have a broader, more flexible idea of musicality. 2, my taste has changed. At this point, this is too much for me. There's not a moment to breathe and to relax and to get into the groove of the song. There's this really important piece of advice that I got as a newer dancer. I had just finished a social dancing competition with a partner, and I went up to Tina Morales, who was an amazing judge, and I asked her for some feedback. And she said, you do a whole lot of stuff, and it's like if you're wearing all of your jewelry at once. Just wear one ring. If you wear one ring, then I can appreciate how beautiful your rings are.
No, but I love my rings. Well, it's jazz, so it's more about the rings you don't wear.
That had a big impact. I'm not necessarily good at it, but I am trying. And 3, for me, this disregards the macro structure of the music, which I think is more important than the little things. For example, you have that section where everything's really, really intricate and I'm hitting all of the things, and then it changes to the classic head of the song. Da-ba-da-da-da-da-da-ba-da-da, and then I'm continuing to hit all of the things. Oh, I get it. You memorized the song. Congratulations, Laura. You're doing it all. That's the moment where I would want things to open up and to blossom and to stretch and to become a little bit more basic so you can experience a bit more of that sort of repetitive force that the music is giving. Keeping that literal vibe, to me, kind of disregards that. Okay, now let's check out the opposite end of musicality. I put together a little choreography with stock moves and even sections of choreography that already exist. Let's check it out. Better. Maybe that's because I'm able to perform it better, confounding variable, but I also feel like the simplicity of these moves can be styled to match the vibe of the music a bit more. Also, these moves and the music were invented at the same time, so they're sort of a natural pair. However, it is very general, and for my taste, in this world of recorded music that we live in now, it would be nice if things were a bit more tailored to the song. So let's try that. We're going to take that stock choreography and we're going to tweak it a little bit to make it a bit more specific. Let's see what that looks like. And takes me away from that kind of groove that I was really enjoying. I was sorry to lose that, but some of it I thought hit pretty well. But wait, there's more! Another thing that's frequently done with dancing and music is something that's kind of like a counter melody. Singing. You fill in the empty space of the melody or simply make up a rhythm that complements that established rhythm. I have an easier time coming up with this kind of musicality if I scat along with it. It helps make the rhythm a bit more concrete.
Hakadoo, 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 boom, bam, 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 boom.
musicality is you don't have to have a recording in order to do it. There are all sorts of examples from back in the day of musicians playing with each other in the moment, not knowing what the other was going to do. Listen to Lester Young complimenting Billie Holiday as she sang. Now, she was singing something with words, and Lester knew those words in the melody, but he didn't know how she was gonna do it, and you know she could go off book with that. There's also something called collective improv, where all of the different members of a smaller band will play at the same time, listening for each other and trying to fill in the gaps that the other people are leaving for them. It is a fundamental staple of jazz, and we as dancers can get in on that with this style of musicality. I think you should try that out. Listen to a song and see if you can scat something that complements what the musicians are already doing. And maybe you'll accidentally hit the same thing at the same time, which happens in real life, and it is very cool. You're on the same wavelength, man. Now for me, I think the most full version of musicality is using all of these different ideas in tandem. I do gravitate to things that are a bit more complicated, sorry Tina, so I try to combat that by always bringing it back to something simple, especially on the phrase change. I feel like that gives me some focus, and I feel like it really adds to the contrast of the piece, both in energy level and intricacy. So here's my attempt at finding a happy medium. Out in some social partner dancing. Honestly, for me, it's all the same stuff with the extra feature of not making limiting musical choices for your partner. For example, backleading everything. From the leader side, Brooks could make me hit that beat every single time. Da-ba-da-dee-dee-dee, dee-ba-dee-dee, dee-ba-da-dee-dee-dee, dee-ba-dee-dee, dee-ba-da-dee-dee-dee, dee-ba-dee-dee, dee-ba-da-dee-dee-dee, dee-ba-dee-dee, dee-ba-da-dee-dee-dee, dee-ba-dee-dee. And maybe I would like that, but maybe I want to do something else. Maybe I just want to swivel. If Brooks wants to hit them, it's much nicer if he hits them and then allows me to hit them if I choose to. Now I know we've just gotten into dicey territory. Leaders, if you get me to hit something in the music literally, especially if I didn't know it was there, that is so cool. But if you do it every single time over the course of an entire phrase, I might get bored. In general, my preference, I like to hit just kind of 2 of them and then go off and do something else, swivel real big, maybe come back, hit it again. But this in particular is personal preference that will drastically change depending on my partner, the song, the situation.
In this example, I'm not backleading, but I am being musically inflexible. Check out Brooks's body movement. He never joins me in hitting the music, and you can see he's sometimes having to fight to lead.
So here's my attempt at finding a happy medium.
In this example, I hit the music once, then relax, throw in footlights as a countermelody type variation. I'm not hitting everything, but I still feel musical, and we're both having fun. Since I'm not struggling for variations, Brooks is able to be more creative and punctuates the chorus with a fun turn that I pick up on, really punches up the energy for the final chorus.
Musicality is very personal, and there are so many different ways of doing it. I don't want you to hear the music the way I hear it, and I don't want you to hit the music the way I hit it. And nobody can tell you that you're wrong. If you enjoyed this, like and subscribe. If you like the music, it's in the description. If you want merch, they're in the description. And half the money that I get from this channel goes towards organizations that support African diasporic art forms and artists, because this is a Black dance. That's super important. And of course, the best way to learn how to dance is to dance.